Blessings of abundance, my love. You are tuned into the Cafecito and Tarot podcast. It is me, Nicole P, your spiritual barista, serving you up wisdom, guidance, and inspiration from the cards. My love, I'm recording this episode on the Sunday after the new moon in Taurus. It's a cloudy and chilly day here in the MGW. And today, what I'm going to be sharing for you to sip on through this week is about the new moon in Taurus and intentions. And I feel that this is a really fertile week ahead for us to be in relationship with some of the energies of the new moon and in relationship to the Four of Cups. I didn't pull this card. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't pull the Four of Cups, but it was something that came to me, and it just is on my heart to share this reflection. And that's the brew that I'm going to be serving for you today. So get comfy, get cozy, get out your cup, because I'm about to pour you the brew. Real quickly before I do, if you're not done so already, I would really love if you would rate and review this podcast on your listening platform of choice. And if you are just like me, that sometimes when you're doing things on the phone, like typing things out can kind of feel like a hassle, just drop a 5-star. I'll be happy with that. And always sharing is caring. What else do I want to say? I think that's about it. And just, always I like to drop this from time to time as a reminder. I'm not a mental health therapist. I'm not a counselor. I am a cool Gen X, cafecito loving, tarot reader, brujita, doing her thing in the MDW. And this is by no means a substitute for bomb-ass therapy or a really good counselor, okay? Or any kind of other kind of medical, financial, counselor's help, whatever it may be. So just need to put that out there. And if you're needing any of that stuff, I hope you find what you need. I pray for you. I hope that. I wish that. I set that intent. Well, I can't set intentions for you, but I wish whatever you need, that you find it comes to you in the most magnificent, wonderful, precious way. Okay, enough with that. Enough with the intro. Let's get on to the Cafecito and Tarot Podcast Weekly Brew. Here we go. Okay, my love. It is the day after the new moon in Taurus. Now, some folks practice that the new moon, they practice and are in relationship and call that the dark moon, and that the new moon is the day after. If that's your practice, or if you call the new moon and go about your business your way, however it is, right? We just are dancing still and basking in the glory of the new moon in Taurus that came about yesterday, Saturday, and it was a super moon. And it feels really, Taurus energy, yes, with this earth energy, and the major arcanas are the Hierophant and the Empress. And I'm feeling so much. And I know I struggle. I had an episode previously about the Hierophant, and that sometimes that card is like, nails on the chalkboard to me. But I really had to check myself, because I really feel like with this lunation, I feel heavy Empress energy. Like, I don't feel as much Hierophant, and I had to check myself to be like, okay, is that my own biases? Is that my own bias? That's the word. Tongue-tied and twisted as always. Is that my bias, or is it really what I'm feeling? But it's really what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like heavy Empress energy with this lunation. And although that point of the new moon, right, was yesterday, right, we are in the phase of the new moon. Like, we are in that phase of this fertile ground, so to speak. The seeds that we planted yesterday and even through this weekend, because if you miss yesterday, it doesn't mean that you can't still plant seeds. And maybe it was yesterday, right, you there's so many ways to set intentions and engage with the new moon. So it may have been that you were out and about and you were with friends or with family, or you were hiking by yourself in the woods, or whatever it may be, and you come to your practice, you come to your altar, you come into ceremony and ritual on this day, or maybe tomorrow. It still is part of the intentions for this new moon. I think it's easy to get caught up in, if I don't do something this exact way that I see everybody doing it on social media, and the way they're telling me to do it on social media is not going to have an impact, or it's not considered valid. I think one thing to remember is that we are oracles. Our bodies are these amazing altars, and our breath and our words and how we are consciously engaging with spirit, is what is ritual and what is important. And there's going to be times when it is, somewhat elaborate takings, right? And sometimes the most elaborate taking is to be in a space of joy and love and beauty, and setting the attention through words, through song, and through feel. So I just want to emphasize that. And what I'm feeling so strongly, though, is this week, coming into this week, it's very, very, very fertile ground. So I invite you to, whatever your intentions may be for this new moon in Taurus, right, for this energy, I invite you to revisit and be very conscious and aware of those intentions. That's just what I'm feeling so much. And it's as if like there's this indulgence, this way to heighten your senses, and feel into whatever it may be those intentions are for you. And with the Empress, so I'm feeling heavy Empress energy, okay? And the thing about the Empress is that, right, there's this beauty in this undertaking of this womb energy that we all have, right? This sacred creation of the sacred space of creation of womb energy that we all have access to. Like, it's just this, what comes up and comes out. And the thing is when we bring forth something into this world, sometimes it's a joyous process, experience, and sometimes it's very painful. And so in this week, in regards to the intention setting forth, I invite you to really honor all the feels, because sometimes the Empress energy isn't all flowery and being fed grapes in a garden. Sometimes it's very painful and it hurts, and it's a crushing and excruciating experience, and something is born from that. So I don't know where that came from, but it was called to share that. And so that's one of the things that I need to share for this next week. Be very cognizant and aware of your feels in relationship to intention setting, and this next week. And I feel like there's this call of being also too very intentional as far as resource and direction of energy. And this leads me, I should say, to the Four of Cups. Now, I just felt in my heart to share this message. It just came to me when I was walking. So I did a lot for myself with this new moon energy. I did a lot of just cleansing things out of my actual bedroom. I did some housework as well. I went for a long walk, just really getting into my body, moving the energy. I did really deep cleanse of my altars and so much of my spaces. I swapped out my winter clothes for my spring and summer clothes, but I did keep out a couple sweatshirts, because I'm learning here about the Midwest that it all of a sudden might be hot, and then it's all of a sudden kind of cool the next couple of days. I'm relearning the landscape, but so much has changed because, of course, of climate change anyways. So I did a lot of those sorts of things. And the way I scrubbed down I have a couple different altars and different spaces and places of worship and ritual, and I scrubbed things down. And as I was doing so, I was just reflecting, gosh, what's being called for the brew? What brew am I gonna serve, on Sunday? And it came to me, I didn't pull the card, but it came to me about the Four of Cups. And here it is, my love. So here's the brew, in combination. It's in relationship to the new moon intentions, what I just shared about this week, et cetera, et cetera. Here it goes. The Four of Cups. Cosmic connection is Venus in Cancer. And interesting, right? Because that's the theme of the new moon in Taurus, right? Because Venus is the planetary ruler of Taurus. Okay, so interesting that this was a download. I guess what they call it, the download, or the hit, the idea, the seed that Spirit planted in me to share. And so the Four of Cups, yes. And often with this card, we hear interpretations, and I totally get it because I've lived it. But sometimes, especially, I think this is based on Pamela Coleman Smith's image of the Four of Cups, right? So often we may read or hear about the interpretation about, focusing on being so focused on what you don't have. Spirit's offering you this fourth cup, but you're so focused, or dissatisfied that you can't see what Spirit's offering. And I can get with that. I could see that meaning when I look at the image of Pamela Coleman Smith's drawing. May she rest in power, peace, and pleasure. And kind of reminds me, I've lived that in some ways for the last year and a half. It's already been since I moved back here to the Midwest, where it's kind of like sometimes Spirit gives you what you need instead of what you want. And sometimes you're like, oh gosh, okay, fine, I'll take that darn fourth cup. It's not the cup that I wanted, but you're offering it to me, so I'll take it. And it gets you to where you need to go eventually, right? So I get that. But here's the other thing that it really feels like is because I feel like that message is a strong message. I think we've all been there and will be there several times where Spirit's offering us something and we're like, but that's not what I'm not focused on that way. We're focused on something else. We're not present to the moment, and we may not be present to the miracle that is happening, right? And so I get that. But here's this other thing about the Four of Cups, and I feel that it is really tied to the new moon intentions and this energy of Taurus, right? And it's and I just feel like the importance of this week is really about setting also some really foundations as we continue forth in the zodiacal year. Okay, here's the thing, right? Is we're at this place where we're being called to be tuned in to what we value and what we cherish, being tuned in to what we have the capacity for, being tuned in and aware of what is really worth it. What is really worth it? You can fill in the blank, whatever that might be. Like, what is worth our time? What is worth our money? What is worth other resources, right? And worth not like budgeting or anything like that, but like worth in a way that we're cognizant and aware of our energy and our resources. We're cognizant and aware of the people that we love dearly in our lives and the community and connections that we have and we love dearly in our life, and being cognizant and aware of either relationships, things, situations that take a lot from us, right? Or maybe that have expired in some way, shape, or form. So with the Four of Cups, the invitation is to be cognizant and aware of capacity, of values, and vision. In a true sense, right? And I understand and I know that in the day-to-day, especially in the context of the world and the abuses that we are living and the collapsing of settler colonial capitalism, right? There's the realistic everyday things that need to be taken care of. I get that, right? We need to make sure that our bills are paid, we get some food on our table, we have places to live around, safety, security, connection to community. I understand this, right? And the level where it's dreaming, right? Where it's like, what could possibly be? That vision and values and worth on an expansive level of infinite possibilities, of knowing that beyond what we are experiencing and witnessing, there is another way, and that there is abundance in the universe. And that's, once again, not to spiritual bypass and call all the bullshit and the toxic and the harm that is happening right now. Not at all. Right? So with the Four of Cups, it's an energy and it's an invitation for awareness of what you have space for and what it is that you are wanting to create, what it is that you are wanting to invite more of into your life, not more of a list to do, not more of anything that has to do with pleasing anybody else, more about what it is that you truly desire and the feelings and experiences that you desire to be in relationship and to have in your life. Now, with the Four of Cups, sometimes Spirit offers us that fourth cup for several reasons. Number one is to show us that you can bring forth things. You can call forth things into your life. That you are an attractor. That you are able to open up the energy centers and bring forth and call forth experiences, situations, opportunities, people, etc. into your life. Here's the thing, just because Spirit offers it to you doesn't mean that you have to take it. Okay, that's the big piece. Because sometimes what Spirit does is Spirit offers us that fourth cup. And what it is, first of all, number one, you have free will. So no matter what, your plate can be totally full. And if you want to take that fourth cup, you go ahead and take that fourth cup. You have free will no matter what. Okay, no matter what. But sometimes Spirit gives us that fourth cup and say, okay, look at you. Here it is. You wanted it. Here it is. But just because it comes to you doesn't mean you have to take it, because sometimes Spirit will offer you that cup, right? And say, take it, take it, take it. And you're like, oh, I wanted this, but ooh. And there's something that's like, no, stop. But then you're like, but wait, I called this. I wanted this. Oh my gosh, this might be a one-of-a-lifetime opportunity. What if it is? And sometimes Spirit offers you that fourth cup to almost test you, right? To give you the opportunity to stop and reflect and to say, ooh, is this really what I want? Do I really want that fourth cup right now? I can be mad appreciation that this fourth cup came to me, but you know what? It's not the time. It's not the time. I'm cool with my 3 cups right now. It's not the time for that fourth cup. Or it could be very much like, ooh, I see that fourth cup. I'm going to hold off for just 1 second. I acknowledge you. I see you. Thank you much, very, very much, Spirit. But just because it comes to you doesn't mean you have to take it right away. Sometimes Spirit is like, okay, I'm going to offer this to you. And then you're like, wait a minute. Wait, let me really think about this. Let me really reflect upon this. Oh, I really don't have the capacity for that fourth cup right now. I'm really cool with what I have, right? That fourth cup sometimes comes to us so we can really take inventory too, not only of the capacity and the space that we have, but what is it that we truly want? Because sometimes we're out here calling things and manifesting things to us, and it's from a place of the past, what we thought we wanted, or what we're calling forth because other people think that that's what we should have in our lives, right? And so sometimes it's like, whoa, this is coming to me, but I've changed. I don't think I really want that anymore. This is coming to me, but wait a minute. No. I was manifesting this because this is what I was told. This is what I believed I should have in my life. You know, that fourth cup comes to us sometimes for us to really pause and take inventory and to check on what we value, where we are in the presence, and what we truly, truly want to bring more of into our lives. And you still may be thinking of all that, but you may still be like, you know what? I don't care. I'm afraid that if I don't take this cup, Spirit's not going to give me anything ever again. And you take the cup and you go down a path, and it is what it is. And you might come back around and you might say, ooh, that fourth cup was too much, and you might have to give it back to Spirit. right? You may change your mind and give it back to spirit. But here is the thing. There's no right or there's no wrong, right? There's this movie, it was like a documentary, I think it was like early 2000s, called What the Bleep. And it was just this image of this person, and they were on this basketball court, and there are all these bouncing balls. And the concept, this is just like a really brief, like, summary of it, was like, there's all these bouncing balls, and which ball are you going to choose, right? It's not really a wrong or right. It leads to different ways, and maybe each ball leads you back to where you started, right? And similar like that with that Four of Cups, because what happens sometimes too is that there are, I'm not going to lie, right? Wheel of Fortune here. The wheel keeps on turning, and sometimes there's like really great opportunities, and we just got to take them, and you got to, have that sacred discernment and trust and do what you got to do, because it's free will, right? But then sometimes too, we take things because we're afraid we're not going to get a second chance at them. We take things, what Spirit has given us, because we're afraid that if we don't, like, Spirit's then not going to give us anything else, right? And that kind of, I think, comes from, well, not only FOMO, that gets instilled from settler colonial capitalism, and also from remaining, like, energies of organized religion, right? So if I don't take this, maybe Spirit's going to think I'm ungrateful. They're not going to give me anything anymore, right? It's all that stuff, right? All of that, which is natural and it's normal. It's part of the journey, right? It's part of being in relationship and spirituality, or say in relationship with Spirit and the spiritual practices, and also too, the crew that you have. That's another really big important piece of having folks, right? Having like the Three of Cups energy, right? Folks who have shared experiences in the journeys, and who can be mirrors, because sometimes you might say, oh my gosh, listen, Spirit is giving me this fourth cup. What do I do? And if you ask somebody who has a scarcity mindset, or is coming from their own stuff, they're going to have their opinion, right? And doesn't make it right or wrong. That's their lived experience, and they're going to give their opinion out of their lived experience. And it may be information to have. I think it's always good to check in with people. You just got to know where people are coming from, right? So that Four of Cups, I invite you to take out the Empress card in whichever deck it is that you feel called to work with this week, or maybe it's your one tried and true deck. Taking out the Empress and take out the Four of Cups, and just feel into those cards and feel into what, with your intentions that you have set forth or are setting forth in this new moon lunation, right? New moon in Taurus, feeling into like, what is it that you are craving, right? Like, really, what is it? Like, what's in your heart? What's in your belly? What are the seeds that you really feel called to plant, right? And the Four of Cups, right? What does that mean to you? What would, I should say, what would feel really good, like that fourth cup coming from Spirit, right? Really feeling into that, reflecting upon that, calling forth intentions, but also being with Spirit, like, thank you for anything you could bring forth to me and offer to me. And I thank you for bringing this forth and allowing me the opportunity to really reflect and be in connection with my intuition, but also just with the presence. Yeah. So maybe the Four of Cups, when you pull it and have that card in relationship to the Empress, maybe there's something totally different that comes up for you. I invite you to feel into that. And what could that mean? I think the other thing about with Venus and Cancer is, like, Cancer is, for those of us here in the Northern Hemisphere, right, an initiation of the season, right, the kickoff of summer, right, it initiates a season. And often the themes so much of home, of shelter, of safety, of nurturing, these water, it's a water energy as well. And so what does that, like, what comes up for you, right? In the connection of the Empress with the Venus and Cancer energy. There's connection to the Moon card and also High Priestess energy. So tying those all together in a story, right? In a way of a poem, so to speak, for this lunation. But I think that invitation, really, with that Four of Cups, is so much about what is the capacity, what are the values, right? And one example I'm going to share with you real quickly about that, remind me of a Four of Cups moment in real life, is my mother was offered, so when we moved here a year and a half ago, last summer, she loves community gardens, so she was offered a community garden spot in this one community garden in this other neighborhood. It was like a really just cool vibe, lots of cool folks at this one community garden. She had a stroke, had to start hemodialysis, did not do well in hemodialysis, was near hospice, so had to, was considering hospice because of the reaction to the hemodialysis. And, she turned down the garden spot. And it was the best decision for her energy level and for what we were going through with this. And so she created a precious garden in her little back patio area, faces an alley. It's just gorgeous, beautiful flowers, and what she did and the food she grew was absolutely amazing. So I had told her, next year, let's get through this. You're getting strong again. You're going flowing with it next year. So sure enough, I don't know where there was just some things we were going through as far as we're staying here. We're going to try to move and et cetera, et cetera. And it came up. She just inquired about the neighborhood where we live in, that community garden, which is only like 3 blocks away. And she said, oh, hey. And it was, they said there's a 2-year wait list. Well, she asked about it with the next day. Hey, guess what? They said to her, there's a spot open. It just so happened the night you sent in the email, we got notice that the person is going to be moving to Minneapolis. So I was like, great, isn't that wonderful? This should be a lot easier. We're a lot more adjusted. My mother's on a different form of dialysis, and it's only a few blocks away. Easy breezy. However, after some time and really reflecting, my mother had to really say, what does she have the capacity to do? What does she really have the space to do? And it came to her, and it's really wonderful, and it would be really, really great. It's just the timing is not right. She had realized that she would have so much focus between the backyard, like our garden in this little back alleyway, it's just precious, and then this community garden spot, even though it's close and it wouldn't be too bad, she would probably do like chiles and maybe some eggplants over there, but still the way in which she doesn't like to do anything half-assed, she says, and it would be pulled too far. She'd be in too many directions. So she had to respectfully decline. And that's one example in real life, right? It was offered to her. She brought it forth. I mean, it was just divine, right? And she said, Spirit, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But had to say, wait a minute. What is how do I value? And that was part of a value. Her saying, I don't like to do things half-assed. With the energy that I have right now, I would be torn too much between the garden here outside our rental and over there at the community garden. Even though the community garden is absolutely wonderful, we'd be able to be in more connection, etc. But it just was like the timing. But it doesn't mean that there won't be other opportunities. So that's just one example of the Four of Cups IRL in real life, so to speak. But I think tap into that energy and of things that may be offered or maybe coming to offer to you, be offered to you from Spirit, right? People, situations, relationships, opportunities, jobs, all sorts of things, right? And know that just because it comes to you doesn't mean you have to take it. And just because you say no to it doesn't mean that you're going to block your blessings or nothing's ever going to come to you again, right? It's about being really aware and just knowing that, right? And it's very connected to this new moon energy because it's really about our values and our resources and honoring these bodies, right? And honoring all the aspects of these bodies. And so that's what I have for you this week. That's what I have. That was the brew. Energies of the new moon in Taurus and the Four of Cups. And Venus and Cancer, yeah. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. That's all I got. It's like it just stops. Like all of a sudden it's in my head, and then all of a sudden I'm done, and that's it. So, whatever your week looks like ahead, I wish you a wonderful week. Stay hydrated. Take care of yourself, right? Take care of other folks. If you have to tap, community, right? In some way, shape, or form, right? That's all we got is each other. No one's going to save our asses, but ourselves. And tap out to tap back in, right? Tap out to tap back in, and yeah. Yeah, tap out to tap back in. Don't forget that you are a miracle. You are the oracle. You are the medicine. And I'll be back next Sunday. These are like the Sunday brews here on the Cafecito and Tarot podcast. If you are looking for those sip-sized episodes, the Daily Tarot Brew now has its own home. So if you're looking for sip-sized wisdom guidance and inspiration from the cards, head on over to the Daily Tarot Brew podcast on your listening platform of choice, and you'll find me there, pouring out the brew, about 3 to 5 minute episodes, Monday through Friday. So, peace, love, everything in between, and until next week, take care. Bye.